camera is ready for Wi-Fi connection.
Here we go. Just rebooted it.
Successfully connected to the Wi-Fi.
That freaked me out the first time. This is the Mintion Beagle Print app on Android. I don't have an iPhone, so I do apologize. I can't show you that. I'm sure it will probably look similar, or potentially others that have these can post a video or comment with that. So obviously here we see Frank is paired up already. I've gone through it. I'm not going to go into the about, obviously for security reason, for my email address. But needless to say, you have tutorials and articles that you can go from Mintion if you want to see how things work. So obviously we can see the camera is online in the upper left corner. Obviously the printer is connected and ready over Wi-Fi. This is running Klipper with a Big Tree Tech Pad 7. It's native Klipper because I have the Raspberry Pi CM4 as the host in that device. So going into the app, as you can see, we have little settings. Now obviously I've changed my IPs for the purpose of the video, just for that reason. Here is any time lapses that you have currently recorded. At the moment I haven't, because I've kind of reset the cameras for this purpose, and obviously repositioned it where it can start doing some better testing. This is G-code files that you have on your printer, and you can tell it just to go ahead and start printing any of these. If you want to do any movements or so forth, so if one example, if you wanted to home the printer, we tap the little home, there it goes. This will give you control. Now this does have a web page. You can browse to the IP of the camera. Unfortunately it must have a USB connected printer at that point if you want to use through your web browser. So you would need anything running Marlin, anything that you would normally use octoprint on, so your Prusa, your Creality, Anycubic, whatever, you know, all of those can connect by USB and obviously be controlled by this camera. Obviously if I wanted to go ahead and home the Z-axis, there we go. You can see Frank's doing his business there. You can set your Z offsets, your fans, you know, etc. Obviously here, if you want to preheat your printer, obviously for nozzle and hotbed, so let's say for example I wanted to go to a 60-degree hotbed, and then say here I'm gonna, because obviously I use Z tilt on each print, obviously to align the bed left and right to make sure that it's always parallel and level. Obviously I'm going to set that for 150, as you'll see below, and you can see now in the video that the hot end fan has come on. It comes on usually right after about 35C is how I have my firmware set, and ultimately that will start climbing ultimately there. Now coming back to our dashboard, as you can see, we can even zoom in on it. It will start in standard definition. You can also bring that up to high definition if you want a little more detail. And you can bring up your controls to see where the color temperatures, contrast, and so forth. So if you want to adjust it a little bit, you can. It does apparently have a microphone, so you can record sound. I kind of have the sound turned off at the moment. Or the little camera in the corner, you can just take a single frame. We're going to bring that back down. Let's just do like that. There we go. So yeah, that's kind of a just basic walkthrough. I'm not going to try and redo all the good content that Mintion has already done on their website with the tutorials. It is definitely a very easy setup. It literally took me minutes. The little cog here up in the upper corner, so obviously you can set your time zone. Now currently we're in British summertime, obviously, so I'm going to I had to set it slightly different, as you'll see here. I had to set it for the GMT+1 for Brussels, Paris, so forth. I'm going to feed that back to see if they can look into some time of time synchronization, maybe with the app, so it knows what time and time zone you're in. That would be very useful. In regard to your Wi-Fi settings, I'm not going to go in there at the moment. But your time-lapse settings, you have different forms of time-lapse. Obviously, this is what I have it set for now, normal. But you have the UV time-lapse, where you can obviously change total number of layers. Obviously, you can set it for specific hours, minutes, and seconds if you only want to do a specific amount. Here's the finished duration of it. You can set the frames per second. Obviously, if you want a higher rate video where it really takes in a lot of detail. This one seems to work really well as far as just generalized, and the fact that this works with Klipper, it picks up when you start a print job. It will name the time lapse based on the file that you have told it to print. Obviously, camera information, obviously will have certain things that I need to keep private, so do apologize there. Firmware upgrade, you can do over-the-air upgrades from the camera itself if it's connected successfully to the internet. This does not require any VPNs or any special connections, so like some of these paid services that you have out there that obviously require a subscription for certain connectivity types, this obviously already provides it. Night vision, you can use like most IR cut cameras, so like the Raspberry Pi has an IR cut that when it goes dark, it brings on some infrared LEDs, boom, obviously, and you see basically a very bright black and white type image. And while that's very crisp and you can see everything, sometimes people like a little bit of color. So this will allow the camera to still run in color. It'll probably just come out a little bit pinkish, obviously is my expectation. I'm still going to test that, but you can also set black and white as you would with the others. Storage card, obviously I have a 32 gigabyte card in here. It will actually let you format the card if you need to, just to quickly erase it instead of clearing all the videos and such that you have on it, or potentially files that you may have sent to the device if you're using Marlin. And then of course you can tell it to automatically turn the camera on, recording video as soon as it's powered on, and you can also enable or disable the camera audio. I don't have that obviously enabled at the moment because I really don't want fan noise. As you may hear in the background, the cooling fan for the hot end on this printer is very high speed, and as such obviously it makes a bit of noise. You can share your stream and control of the printer to your friends. Obviously this does require that they install and registered Beagle Print app on their phone, so if you want to have somebody keep an eye on your printer because you know you're going to be at work, there you go. That is brilliant. You can share it up but please only share it to somebody you trust, because they could do some damage to your printer if you're not careful. You know, Bluetooth devices I haven't checked out yet, but obviously the Beagle built-in Bluetooth module for extendable kits, that's very interesting because you could add things like a hygrometer or temperature for your chamber, maybe light control, who knows. That opens a lot of possibilities, and as you can see it says upgrade now, so that's obviously going to be a specific additional feature in that regard. I'll be inquiring into that a little bit further as I go along with my messing around with this camera. But there you go, that's the kind of basics, and this is where I got excited when I was asked if they can put a post in the group with some codes, give people some discounts on it. This is only the version 1. The one they offered is the version 2. It's pretty much the same camera, but it has the ability to focus without a special tool, which is really useful because you can't always, with a fixed focus lens, you can't always get it quite right depending on where you want your camera, and the ability to adjust and fine-tune that focus is really going to be useful. Now I'm going to have to print one of those tools for this camera, which I'll be doing shortly. But there you go. I hope that's been helpful in letting you get an insight to the Beagle Cam V1 and potentially the future V2, and hopefully find it useful for your printer. If you're a new user, I would say this is probably your best opportunity to get started before considering your other options, whether it be, if you're going to go with a printer that has Klipper, you probably already have the ability to just plug in a USB cam, or if you want something where you can access and control your printer remotely from your phone, this is the way to do it, because then you don't have to do any complicated setups on your host controller, whether it's a Sonic Pad or a Big Tree Tech Pad 7, or even if you went with a Raspberry Pi, you don't have to go through setting up like Tailscale VPN or various other ones, or Beagle, unless you want things like the AI filament failure detection and such. But this has a lot of potential for new users that are just not up on Linux, not up on networking, and just want a simple way to monitor their printer, take time lapses for the fun of it, keep an eye on it, check on it. If you see something when you log into it, you can stop your print right there. That way you're not wasting a ton of filament. Absolutely brilliant from what I've seen here, and I've been using the Raspberry Pis for some time with Octoprint, and this is really nice for an all-in-one solution.